I'm just waiting for you to finish because we're here to scrutinise you, not the other way around. So we're entitled to our opinion.
Madam Chairman, you made a comment
chair
that I
this
thought
meeting,
was outrageous.
and you're entitled to your opinion. This is not the place to give
Point
your
of order,
opinion.
Chairman.
I'm the chair.
That's Reform Leader for Leicestershire County Council, Dan Harrison, having an absolute meltdown in a Scrutiny Commission committee meeting a couple of weeks ago over something that the chair, Deborah Taylor, said that, don't worry, we'll get to that later, but let's say what I think is a reasonable question from Michael Mullaney, and then comes the meltdown.
Thank you. So obviously we've got this deficit, and I suppose the question is, can we deal with it either by reducing expenditure or increasing income? I mean, on the reducing expenditure, obviously, page 4.11 says there's already been 290 million of savings delivered since 2010. So it's not as if there's a huge amount of fat in the budget that can be trimmed, really, and we're really at the sort of bone at the moment. And is there any realistic way in which any set of savings are going to find anything substantial, given the huge cutbacks that have already taken place over the last 15 years? And then on point 12 on page 4, the other thing is, of course, whether we get more money in. Of course, there has been the long-standing campaign for fair funding, but for that to really make the difference, given the scale of budget, then it's going to have to be a substantial increase in funding. But as the paperwork says, the indications are that we'll benefit marginally from the proposed changes, which suggests that's not going to be the miracle that saves the situation either. So really, it does seem to be quite a difficult situation. You mentioned, Mr. Harrison, that you'd approached MPs for support and indicated there was, your view was there was a lack of support. Was that they weren't keen to engage with you, or was it that they were keen to engage and support the campaign, but it was just that the government wasn't prepared to listen? What would your sort of feeling of that situation be?
That is quite recent, so we're waiting. We've got to give a bit of time, I suppose, probably a month for these people to be able to get through all the work they're doing. I don't know. Some have had quick responses in the past, but we haven't. The letter went out probably a fortnight ago, something like that. So we've got to wait and see where we go with it. But I'm not optimistic that they'll come riding in to help us because of the financial situation in government alone. But could I make a comment, Madam Chair, about your comment about the lead member? I think it's quite disgraceful, your form of attacks. He doesn't have to assure anybody. The director assures and the staff assures the public. The lead member does not make statements reassuring people. I just found that quite intimidating and inaccurate attitude to have against somebody, because you've been there, you know what it's like. You go in, you do your job, you ask questions. Mainly it should be supporting in political guidance. You may have had some initiatives, who knows, I wasn't there to see that. But to speak the way you have, and just now in this meeting in a cynical way, is absolutely disgraceful, because that portfolio holder, according to his director, has spoken to me on 3 occasions when I've approached her, and she came to talk to me quite recently and say, no, he is doing a superb job, getting on with the staff well, doing a job that's good, and he's no different to anybody else in this room who has a full-time job who is still a member here. So I just think that your attacks are really fairly outrageous without real confirmation. I just think, it's intimidation through arrogance, which isn't really appropriate in this. You should be talking and inquiring, but not suggesting that he should be there holding children and doing all sorts. And please, there was some comment last week somewhere, Moody should have his arms around people. He does a good job. The officers are there. Now, you know, and I know, that if he didn't turn up for 2 months, would it crash? Would any of us with a portfolio didn't turn up for 2 months to a cabinet? What would happen? The business would carry on. because we have excellent full-time directors running departments, and they're not hanging on the edge waiting for the portfolio member. So I think it's outrageous, your attacks. They're unfounded. It's unprofessional.
I'm just waiting for you to finish because we're here to scrutinise you, not the other way around. So we're entitled to our opinion.
Madam Chairman, you made a
I'm
comment
chair
that
of
I
this
thought
meeting,
was outrageous.
and you're entitled to your opinion. This is not the place to give
Point
your
of order,
opinion.
Chair.
I'm the chair.
Point of order. What Mr. Harrison is saying is completely irrelevant to the scrutiny proceedings of this meeting.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison. I do understand you feel strongly about your cabinet members, but this is not the time nor place. We're trying to scrutinise the MTFS and your plans for the council's finances. Thank you.
And all the things you just said are not something that I've said anyway. So you're totally out of order yourself for having a little rant in scrutiny. So yeah, you carry on.
The guy who did the point of order is called Phil King. But yeah, what vile, heinous, intimidating attack did the chair, Deborah Taylor, say to really cause Dan Harrison to have a complete meltdown?
Mr. Innes, I can probably give you some information as well. Obviously, I was the lead member for this area for the past 5 years, and I think this is one area where the lead member needs to have a really, really, really close view on what's happening and give confidence to families. So that has been a slight change from the election. So that might be that there's a lack of confidence in the department in this area. So, you know, I take what Declan's saying about the reforms coming forward, but I think there's a lot of confidence and trust that needs to be in the local authority with families and parents in that their children will get the needs without any HCP. So that could be part of it as well.
Now I had to go further back to make sure I got the right statement from Deborah Taylor, because I have to say, I thought, yeah, it's a little bit of a dig about the situation, about child education, from what I can gather. But I've certainly heard worse, and it clearly shows that our snowflake, Dan Harrison, is wholly unfit to be leader, because there was any slight criticism towards himself for not really answering any questions, or because his councillors were just completely incompetent. He started to have a number of meltdowns and started attacking those who criticised him. And if you want to watch the hilarity, I suggest you watch the live stream from BowlerHatman, who live streamed this very same meeting. Absolutely hilarious. Or if you want, you can watch the live stream from the County Council's YouTube channel. I'll leave a links in the description box for you, and I'll just bid you farewell and take care, my friends. What a snowflake.